Welcome back, my brave listeners, to another spine-chilling episode of Mr.Terror Tales. As the night deepens and snow blankets the earth, the air is thick with anticipation. Children across the world wait eagerly for a visit from Santa Claus, dreaming of presents, joy, and holiday magic. But what if, just maybe, there's something darker that arrives with him? Tonight we have 3 disturbing stories about children, presents, and the twisted shadows that lurk in the darkest corners of Christmas Eve. So turn the lights down low, settle in close, and listen carefully. These are not the Christmas tales you grew up with. Welcome to the horrors of the holiday season. On December 24th, 1982, in the small town of Grimswell, snow had already begun to fall heavily, covering the roads in thick layers of white. The wind howled outside the windows of the Holloway family home, rattling the panes as the storm grew fiercer. Inside, the house was warm and inviting, lit by the flickering glow of a fireplace and decorated with wreaths and garlands. In a cozy corner of the living room, 8-year-old Ben sat eagerly on the floor, his eyes wide with excitement. He had written his letter to Santa months ago, asking for a brand new action figure set. His sister Lily sat beside him, clutching her favorite stuffed bear. The 2 children whispered about their presents, their imaginations running wild as they sipped hot chocolate. As the clock struck midnight, the children fell asleep, the sound of the wind outside blending with their quiet breaths. But as the house stood silent, something far more sinister than Santa's sleigh began to descend upon the Holloway house. The air grew inexplicably colder, the warmth of the fire fading like it was being pulled away. And then, the sound of soft footsteps approached from the chimney. Ben awoke with a start, his heart pounding in his chest. He could hear the faintest sound of movement in the living room. Curiously, he crept to the door and peeked through the crack. But what he saw was not Santa Claus, not at all. A tall, gaunt figure stood in front of the fireplace, its back to him. It wore a tattered red coat, but its face was wrong. It had hollow, sunken eyes that seemed to stare right through him, its skin stretched tight across its skull-like features. It wasn't the jolly old man who brought gifts to children, it was something far darker. And it held a small, twisted gift, wrapped in black paper. Ben's breath caught in his throat as the figure turned. In its hand was a small blackened doll with jagged limbs. Its eyes were too wide, too lifeless. It was the gift for Ben, but something was wrong with it. As the figure came closer, Ben felt a cold hand rest on his shoulder. He screamed, but the figure didn't flinch. It simply whispered, its voice a rasping hiss. "You wanted something special, didn't you?" Christmas Eve, 1997. The Thompson family lived in a large, isolated house on the edge of the woods, where the wind howled through the trees and the snow seemed to never stop falling. Inside the house, young Tommy, age 7, was tucked into bed, eagerly awaiting Santa's visit. Tommy's parents had just finished reading him a story before bed, the gentle glow of the Christmas tree lights casting long shadows on the walls. As he lay under his covers, his thoughts drifted to the presents he would soon find beneath the tree. But a strange feeling crept over him, like the room had suddenly become too still. He heard a noise, something scraping across the floor, soft but deliberate. He tried to ignore it, thinking it was just the house settling. But then there was a whisper, low and chilling. "Tommy." Tommy's heart pounded. He pulled the covers over his head and squeezed his eyes shut. "It's just Santa," he told himself. "Just Santa." But then the scraping sound came again, louder this time, and it was coming from underneath the bed. Terrified, Tommy slowly slid off the bed, his bare feet landing softly on the cold wooden floor. The scraping stopped, silence. But just as he reached the edge of the bed, the shadow beneath it seemed to stretch out toward him, and then he saw it. A hand, pale, skeletal, and covered in grime, slid out from under the bed. Fingers twisted unnaturally, each joint cracking with a horrifying snap. The face that followed was not Santa's, but something worse. A twisted, emaciated figure with hollow eyes and a mouth that was too wide to be human. It grinned up at Tommy, showing rows of sharp, jagged teeth. "I'm here for you, Tommy." The thing whispered, its breath cold and rancid. Tommy's scream echoed through the house, but no one came. His parents, sound asleep, never heard a thing. The next morning, Tommy's bed was empty, the Christmas lights flickering eerily. His parents searched the house frantically, but Tommy was nowhere to be found. The police arrived, combing through the snow-covered woods. All they found was a single small gift left behind on his bed. The tag read, "To Tommy from Santa." His parents wept, clutching the gift as the snow continued to fall, and the wind howled through the trees, carrying away the last echoes of Tommy's scream. In 2005, on a quiet Christmas Eve in the town of Maple Hollow, little Sarah, just 6 years old, sat by the window staring out into the snowy landscape. The streetlights cast a warm glow on the thick blanket of snow that covered the town. She was eagerly awaiting Santa's arrival, her parents having already tucked her in with a warm blanket and a glass of milk. But something was wrong. Sarah had always been excited for Christmas, but this year a strange feeling of unease weighed heavy on her chest. She couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching her. Then as the clock struck midnight, the sound of a soft tapping at her window caught her attention. Startled, she peered through the glass, expecting to see snow falling or maybe a stray animal. But what she saw was something far worse. A small boy, no older than Sarah, stood outside in the freezing cold, staring directly at her. His face was pale, his hair matted to his forehead, and his clothes were torn and covered in snow. But it was his eyes that frightened her most, black, lifeless, with no reflection, just endless darkness. Sarah's heart raced as the boy's mouth stretched into an unnatural grin. Then, with a voice like ice, he whispered, "I've been waiting for you. Santa never came for me. Will you let me in?" The window shattered. Sarah screamed as the boy lunged forward, his cold hands gripping the edges of the broken glass. But before she could run, the boy's whisper echoed one last time, "You're mine now." Her parents rushed into the room, but it was too late. The boy had vanished, leaving only the shattered window and Sarah's terrified screams. The next morning, the town of Maple Hollow woke to a chilling silence, the events of the night before leaving an eerie mark on the once peaceful town. Sarah's room remained empty, the broken window a haunting reminder of the Christmas boy who came and took her away. And so, dear listeners, the Christmas spirit has taken a dark turn tonight. The presents you leave under the tree, the promises you make to the little ones, may not be the gifts they expect. Santa may bring more than just toys. Sometimes the true gift is a shadow that lingers long after the holiday ends. Thank you for joining me tonight. If you enjoyed these haunting tales, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to ensure you never miss a terror-filled moment. And always remember, when the Christmas lights flicker and the night grows cold, there's something waiting just outside your window. This is Mr. Terror Tales signing off. Stay safe and keep the lights on. Subscribe to Mr. Terror Tales, like and share our channel. If you like, send your unique horror story to Mr. Terror's Tales email and see it on video. Thank you for watching.